right. Just gotta make sure everything's all in place here. Just gotta add some tags real fast. Okay, that's all good. All right, now I just gotta let everyone know what's happening here. So I'll just take a second. Streaming now. Okay, the community tab. Made a community post, and then I'll tell the Discord know. Okay. All right. So, hey everyone, welcome to live stream here. Again, wasn't fully expecting this coming into the season here, where we would have a two-part finale, but that is the world we live in. Already got some people on here. Hey Peo, glad you can make it here. Yeah, yeah, it should be a pretty fun night here. Who's ready for the God Beeve and Mom Shell face off? I don't think I've ever heard anyone call Rachel mother. Like, I feel like all season it's just been Genevieve's been mother, right? Q&A, are we ending up a to be continued for 47 part 1 like we saw Amazing Race? Oh, probably. I mean if they are like going all in on this being like a two-part finale as opposed to this just being like an extended episode before the finale, then we'll probably have a to be continued here. 47. What? Oh, whoops. I didn't even realize that. Let me just change the title here. My bad. I literally just copied this from the 47, the 46 one. All right, that should have fixed it. Let me just refresh everything. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Thanks for pointing that out, Jay. Yep, that should be fixed now. Yeah, I literally just copied it from the 46 stream when I did that. But yeah, we are now about 20 minutes from the start of the finale. I will say though that the weather outside where I am is really bad right now. Like it's been like a lot of rain today, a lot of wind too. So a small part of me thought that we were gonna lose power, but I mean so far at least I haven't lost any power. Do you think tonight's episode will end on a cliffhanger? I don't. I'll probably like find some sort of cliffhanger. I mean, I think we're probably gonna get through the final, probably get through the final 5 round pretty unscathed. But I feel like after that, like they'll probably like find something to do like a cliffhanger with. I think there is a world where I think now that I'm thinking about it, there could be a world where like they have the cliffhanger in the middle of Final Five Tribal, like maybe to give it a little bit of suspense, and then sort of similar to like what they did in Panama, where sort of similar to what they did in Panama, where they had a cliffhanger right before the Final Four fire making challenge. So I could see a world where they do that. I mean, but I think they'll probably just get through the Final 5 round cleanly, and then they'll have more time in part 2 for the Final Four round. They gotta bloat that out somehow, and then probably spend more time with Final Tribal and like the after show. I've also been having a bit of a runny nose, so but I don't feel sick at all, but it's just kind of annoying. It's so obvious Rachel's winning this season. I don't know how people still deny her win based on the edit. I mean, there's obviously things to criticize with Rachel's edit. I mean, I feel like her pre-merge was not the greatest in the world. I mean, just look at my own power ranking. I mean, I was obviously pretty low on Rachel for a lot of the pre-merge, but the problem is that like no one. I feel like Rachel's edit didn't really kick off until the merge. But I feel like at this point in the season, it's like it's kind of undeniable. I feel like again, Andy's like he's still getting like enough Dodo content, despite him coming off as a mastermind, to where I don't think he's gonna win. Sam, Sam's kind of weird. Like I can definitely see people arguing that Sam could be like the winner, but I feel like he's just been way too prominent, and I feel like he's just been like I don't know, not really getting like he's an underdog, but not really like getting like the content that you would expect from an underdog that goes on to win. Obviously not Genevieve. And then Sue's the other person. No. Teeny, no. Does Genevieve remind anyone else of Parvati? No, sorry, gameplay or professional. Oh yeah, like I mean, she definitely has like the Parvati aesthetic. Like she definitely like she has like the facial structure, even her voice like kind of sounds like Parvati, and I think that's part of the reason why people like her so much is that they see her as like the next coming of Parvati. I mean, I don't think she's. I mean, to be fair, like I think there's like definitely like things you can point to, like with her being like seeming to be one of the more outwardly strategic players, even though like you can question some of her decisions there. But yeah, I think the comparisons. I know there are people were pointing out even during the preseason. Let's see what else is there. Mix of Parvati and Kinsprout. Kind of. I mean, kind of similar in like this sort of game body female type figure. Where do you rank the winner so far this year, including Amazing Race, Ricky and Cesar, Bailey, Chelsea, Kenzie, Ferris? So I think Ricky and Cesar are first, probably. They're probably like they're again complete dominant team. After that, Chelsea. Chelsea's after her, after them, I should say. Then Ferris, then Bailey, and then Kenzie. Yeah, that's probably how I rank them. If Rachel wins, where do you rank them? Probably below. I mean, we'll have to see how the last couple of rounds play out, but I think right now I'm leaning towards below Kenzie. I think that'd be reasonable. Though to be fair, I feel like if Rachel gets to the end, she probably wins in a cleaner fashion compared to Kenzie, because one of the big issues I have with Kenzie is just how she wins at the end. Like she just wins in a very fluke, not fluky, but like very like she wins in a jury vote that's a bit too close for comfort for me. Um, like Rome, I found the advantage. Rome goes home. I hate voting out people. Well, wasn't the turning point? No, like I mean, wasn't her turning point voting out Keyshawn? Like, wasn't that the whole thing? Like, yeah, because like her whole thing was like Keyshawn said, "I trusted you, and now I can't be friends with anyone." Are we getting another swap season of Australian Survivor coming up in 2025? So what do you mean? So what do you mean by swap season? Like, do you mean like the time of the year where it comes out? Like, because I assume if you mean that, then Australian Survivor, it's like we're getting the two seasons next year. So like, unless you mean something else, like I'm just not sure what you mean by that. Her voice, yeah, yep. Below Ferris. If you were on the season, do you think you could have beaten most or all these people? I've said this. I think I may have said this before. I would not do well in Survivor. Like I think I'm just too socially awkward to do well in Survivor a lot of times. I have played orgs before, like, and I've done somewhat well in them, but obviously, like, orgs are very different from actual Survivor because it's like, you get to message people like on Discord and stuff. You get to like properly think out how you say things. I feel like one of the big problems that I have, like, just like in real life, is I just struggle a lot with having conversations sometimes where it's like, even when I have a general idea of how I want to say something, like, it just won't come out the way that I want it to. Like, I feel like I stumble over my words a lot. And to be fair, like, even on my, even like, I'm actually doing it right now, but yeah, I feel like my big problem is that I just would not present well to a lot of people in Survivor. It's like I feel like if I had the time to like sit down and like really think about how I want to say things, like, I probably could like make some good points, but I think the problem is just like being in the moment. And I feel like that's probably like one of my biggest issues if I were to ever actually play Survivor. It's just like, it's funny that I cover the show, like, because like there are just times where I just can't put two words together half the time, and I feel like people might get sketched out by that. They'll either get sketched out or they'll treat me like, I feel like Andy's probably like closer to my best case scenario if I'm being honest. Like, not so much having the meltdowns, but like just coming off as his like complete George Costanza figure. So I, I mean, so I feel like we'll have to see how Andy does on the season. Like, if we find out at the end that he had any level of win equity, then I guess that kind of answers your question. But I feel like off the face of it, I would say no. What else do we have here? Rachel goes home at multiple points. She doesn't want immunity at 7 or gets city of power. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think she. I mean, I think the split tribal final 12 is 100%. She would have gone home there. The final 7, like, is right now, based on the information we have, it does look pretty dicey, considering. I mean, I think because obviously, like, she would have been targeted at final 7 had she not won immunity. I just don't know if it would have gone through though, because she obviously would have had her idol at that point. She would have had her a block of vote, and while she doesn't play them in the actual final 7 scenario, I feel like if it were her on the table, she probably would have been a bit more likely to actually use those things, at least to save herself. I mean, we'll have to like see like more like when we get to like exit interviews and stuff, like when we like learn about like what she probably would have done in that situation. But it's definitely it's not looking ideal. But I think even beyond that, you have her pre-merge, like, is not the greatest in the world. She gets blindsided the Annika round. And while I think, and while you could say that she got unlucky by Annika not having her vote, it does seem like Sierra seems to have said in her exit interview that she probably would have sided with Sam and Andy anyway, considering that Rachel and Annika came off as such a blatant duo. So like, I think even in that situation, it does seem like it probably would have been a very hairy situation for Rachel, to say the least. Okay, are you ready for every other twist on Amazing Mystery 7 coming up on March 5th, 2025? Um, I think in general I would probably expect the next Amazing Race season to probably be more similar to 35, because obviously like with 36 it was filmed before 36 was filmed before 35. So like I would expect it to be more like that, like in terms of like the format and the structure. So like I would probably expect it to be kind of like that. But I'd say I'm ready. I'd say I'm ready for it. And then with like favorite twists, a lot of the more basic stuff like the U turn and stuff like that. Like I feel like I don't feel like I have as many solid opinions when it comes to Amazing Race though. So I probably just like go with like some basic answers and stuff. Andy pulls off a massive move. Saul Andy flips again. I doubt Andy wins season if he gets to final 3. Again, like, yeah, like, so like I actually in the time since I made the jury scenarios video, I rewatched the clip of Caroline getting voted out and like seeing like the jury's reaction. Yeah, it seems like Saul was like like it was Saul that was doing a lot of the talking there about how this was Andy's move and how he flipped again. Um again, who knows? Like, I think the biggest problem with Andy, like, from a perspective, win equity standpoint, is that it just seems like he just doesn't have the inherent respect to begin with. Like, so like I think that not so much in him like the jury not recognizing that he's making moves, but just because like he just comes off as just like George Costanza figure, and I feel like it's just I feel like even it's sort of this weird situation where it's like right now it's like they're talking about, oh, Andy flipped again, Andy made this move, but I think in a lot of scenarios like I feel like as time passes like they'll probably start to like hear more about how like the likes of Sam and Genevieve had a role, and I feel like on paper they'd be more inclined to give someone like a Genevieve the credit for that move to begin with. So even though like Jeff would have, even though Jeff on the On Fire podcast talked quite a bit about how like this was all Andy's move, like sure I guess. So if Andy wins, you promise to send in your application. I don't know. I don't know. Is now even the right time to apply? I mean, because obviously, like they're casting for 49, and it's like they're not gonna cast any 49 people on 50, right? And it's like, so it's like there's that. But like on the other hand, I'd imagine like it must not be as hard to get on right now because like I'm sure there are other people like trying to think the same thing. It's like they're thinking about how they're gonna become become like an all-star basically, like be called back from returning seasons and stuff. It's like this is obviously like not the season to like apply for if you are thinking about that. And along with that, it's like even after that, you got 51, 52. It's like, are you really going to apply for that? Because it's like, because even if you do well on those seasons, it's like you're kind of going to be in the back burner by the time the next returning season comes around. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like 40, 47, 48 was like the big window for like people like looking to like potentially like make their mark and like get called back for another season. So I don't know. Probably missed the boat on that, but yeah, maybe I'll send in an application. I'm rooting for Andy so hard, but it just feels like Rachel has this in the bag. I would agree. Andy goes at 6, Jen at 5. My prediction for today. Again, not too bad. Zero said she would have flipped on Annika anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like she said that, yeah, she said that even without Annika losing her vote, she still would have sided with Andy and Sam there. I think Rachel's game was really bad. She was on the outside majority for a bit. Was never part of the majority. Never got away. I agree. Like again, as much as I say that Rachel's gonna win and that she has the winning edit, again, if she wins, like she is not gonna be very high in the winner ranking. I think that's pretty apparent. I mean, there's like a bunch of holes with her game. The question though is whether she'll be number one in the player ranking at the end of the season. Because I think that's where the last couple of rounds will probably come into play. Because if she's able to like, okay, like she's able to pull off the Genevieve move, like at some point, like she takes the credit for taking out Genevieve, like okay, like and if she has like a smooth ride, like to the end, it's like yeah, okay, like kind of redeems itself a little bit. The question is what the other people, becomes of the other people, like because it's like with the other people, it's like okay, so you have Genevieve for instance, like I know people are talking about her as being this good player and stuff, but it's like her game has been like kind of rocky on its own because she has like the Saul move like at the final 11. It's like the Saul move is like really bad for her. It's like they talk about like oh like she pulls out this big blindside and all that stuff, but it's like it's actually like position wise it's not really good for her and it actually blows up in her face. And she's kind of like meandering around on the bottom for a bit. Um, let's see. You have Andy. Like, is Andy going to be above Rachel in the player ranking? I think that'll be an interesting question. I think if Andy gets the final tribal, there's definitely a chance that he's above Rachel in the player ranking because at least he was like he had like a slightly smoother ride throughout the game compared to Rachel. I mean, you have Sam. Like again, Sam was someone who like he kind of fits his mold of having control in the pre-merge, but kind of loses control like during the early merge. So like again, like that'll be interesting to assess. I think Sam's ride is actually a bit smoother than Rachel's, to be honest, because he was more consistently in the majority. He wasn't in as blatant danger compared to Rachel. So like I think that's definitely something in Sam's favor. Sue's obvious. Sue's not above Rachel. Like I think Sue's probably gonna be below Rachel no matter what. Teeny, I think Teeny's tough. Like I think Teeny's game has been very rocky. I think by the end of it, Rachel will be above Teeny, but again, it's not like it's weird because like Rachel's game on paper is bad, but it's like I don't think anyone outside of Rachel is like particularly that amazing either. So it'll be interesting to like us how the player ranking ends up working out by the end of it. So like the plan I have is to start recording the player ranking after this episode, like because by that point we'll have everything up to the final four round, or at the very least like through most of the final five round, depending on where they cut off the episode here. So I'm probably gonna start recording it then. I'll at least get most of it done because I feel like because I don't think we're gonna have anyone that's like horrible enough to like I don't because like even though I feel like a lot of the final six is like not great, I don't think any of them are gonna be bad enough to be like insanely low relative to their placements by the end of it. So I think that makes it a little bit easier to put the player ranking together, at least again, like get as much of it done as I can. And then obviously we'll see the finale next week. I'll be streaming again next week. And then at that point, we'll just finish the player ranking, get that out, get the review out. I mean, review shouldn't be hard to make. And then yeah. So we're about 3 minutes now from the start of the show. I'm going to be turning on my program here. Please refer to the thing on the top left corner. I should say up front that I do not. I am not aware of any out. I'm not aware of any unofficial ways to watch Survivor US. So I cannot answer any questions about ways to access it. So there's that. And then obviously, if you haven't already, subscribe, Discord server, all that fun stuff should be there. Let's see. Let me see some comments here. Who do you think is going tonight? So my prediction tonight is Genevieve goes to final six, and it goes to final five. I think that's probably the path there. That's the. I feel like a lot of the scenarios I pointed out in my jury scenarios video point that out. So like, I think that'll be a factor here. All right. Okay, yeah, you can do that well. Yeah, feel free to do that. Yeah, just don't post it in the chat though. Do it in the server. Genevieve wins immunity final six. Genevieve wins will probably most likely be either Andy or Sam that goes. Like again, like I think the way the final six round plays out is Rachel uses her block a vote, and then that side, the Operation Italy side, will lose a number. I think that's I feel like it's near guaranteed to happen. I feel like it's near guaranteed to happen. Like I'd be shocked if Rachel doesn't use her block a vote here. But yeah, it is now 8 o'clock Eastern, my time. We should be about to start the show. We have 22 people here on stream. If you're just joining us here, just consult the disclaimer on top. There should be a. Let me just confirm. If you want to watch the show, there, if you haven't already joined the Discord server, there's a way you can watch it on there if you really need a way to watch the show. But otherwise, I'll be here talking with y'all and giving the play-by-play. Show starting now. We're having Jeff now doing his walk to describe what's been happening here. All right, so he's doing running through the final six here. He's calling this the final six no one saw coming. All right, talking about how Genevieve has a big target here. Uh huh. Yep. So yeah, that's right. So Jeff just called Rachel the biggest threat in the game. That's interesting. I mean, he definitely recorded this like right after the tribal, right? All right. Now we're doing a previously on here. All right, we just got done with the recap here. Now we're going to get into the main episode part. Hello, Ryan from Philippines. Glad you could join us here tonight. All right, Sue is pretty upset here. Caroline. All right, she's pretty mad at Andy. All right, now we're getting Operation Italy celebrating. Maybe. All right, so Andy's like, if you two cut me at 5, I'm going to puke my guts out. Interesting. It's kind of weird that Sam is like getting completely overshadowed by all this. Like, of course, Sue doesn't respect flip floppers. I mean, she's been playing like a pretty loyal game here. All right, now we have Teeny talking about how things continue to not go their way. Yeah, so all the focus is on Andy. All right, now Teeny and Andy are talking. Maybe. All right, so now Operation Italy, they're trying to pull in Teeny to be like a fourth. All right. All right. So we have Teeny being on an island here. Talk about how they're a lone wolf. They're the Charlie Brown, Jake, the Owen of the season. Uh-oh. All right, so Teeny just called Rachel the biggest challenge threat and the biggest fire making threat here. Yeah, so it seems like Teeny is ready to flip against Rachel here. Yeah, Rachel could be in trouble here. Not great. All right, now Rachel's talking. All right, so yep. So I think I'm a little behind you, Will. But yeah, I'm just seeing Rachel going up to the Andy combo now. Yeah, I think Rachel either wins the chat, wins immunity, or she plays her. Like she has to do something here. It's like she's either gonna win immunity or she's probably gonna like play her idol or something like that. Yeah, if they're because like if Operation Italy, like if they pull in Teeny, then Rachel's gonna have to like have some sort of immunity here. All right, so Rachel is just eavesdropping on them talking about how big of a threat she is. Who I think is going home? Most likely Genevieve and Andy, if I had to guess. I hope Andy survives another tribal. I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Sam is compared. Sam is compared to Matt Sharp at the end game. Kind of like in the sense like I'm assuming you mean like in the sense that like Matt had like this solid grouping of like Jerry and George. All right, we're now getting to the title screen here, setting up the stakes pretty well so far. This is like a longer version of the intro. I feel like the intro didn't have like this real like long thing before the roll call. Oh yeah, pretty interesting stuff so far. I mean, if yeah, like if Teeny is like really on their side, then at least it makes the final six round slightly more. interesting. Like it's not purely gonna be cut and dry. Because the fear that I had was that Rachel was just gonna use her block vote and then nothing mattered. At least now it's like, okay, there's a bit more going on. Like Rachel, like now it's like, okay, like because yeah, I think like now that Teeny flipped, it's like it makes like the stuff beforehand happen even more. Like feel like it matters more. Like as opposed to just like nothing mattering. So that's good. Anyway, intro's done. Get into the next day. We got some Sue content here. We have 23 people watching on stream right now. Thank you all for joining us here. Oh. All right. All right, so I guess Sue is like gonna try to like find like another idol. Oh, Rachel's approaching. All right, so Rachel just told Sue about her idol here. All right, so I guess they're setting up Rachel and Sue like going to the end together. All right, so Rachel's now they're talking. Rachel's talking about how she's the big threat here, how they can like use all this stuff to like, get their way here. What happened if Sue plays an idol and Rachel? Well, I mean, assuming Rachel's the main target, then it's like they probably just get their way at that point. Because like I can't imagine they vote out Sue, so Sue should be fine. All right, so Rachel knows that Teeny is flipped, but they're gonna act like they don't know that. Sorry. All right, time for Dream Mail. All right, looks like we're gonna be getting right into the challenge shortly. How exciting here! I assume we probably gonna get a commercial at some point. Like we haven't had a commercial yet. All right. We're probably gonna go to commercial, and then we're getting into the immunity challenge. Maybe. All right. Rachel's getting some big brain, big gamer content here. Head into this break here. Yep. All right. So our commercial here. We got 22 people watching so far. Oh yeah. I mean, again, interesting start so far. I mean, again, like we already had like kind of a sense that Rachel was like this big threat, but yeah, it's like the fact that Teeny like flip was so quick to flip right after the vote is probably not a great sign. And again, I feel like it's obviously good for like the entertainment of the episode, like because again, part of me was worried that it was like nothing would matter in this first half because we all know, okay, the three are gonna stick together. Rachel's just gonna use her block bow, and then that's that. But at least now it's like, at least we have a little thing to hang on to. I mean, there's obviously actually does Rachel win this immunity here? I don't think she does. I don't know. I don't know if Rachel wins this immunity. I mean, obviously we ought to see what the challenge is, but so it's like Rachel either like wins immunity or like she plays like the idol and stuff, and it's like I think the outcome's still pretty clear what will happen here, but at least a little more interesting, and there's at least a little more going on than just nothing at all. But we also have some some polling to get into here. So as you can see here from the polling, so this is who will win Final Six immunity. 18 people voted. Genevieve is the favorite here, which I find interesting. Sam is in second place. I voted for Sam to win. Basically, like how I did it was I just assumed. Basically, like I went into like these polls assuming Sam would win out from this point, which would be funny. But yeah, like I basically went all in on Sam winning immunity. But yeah, the top three vote getters here again. Genevieve. I'm actually surprised so many people said Genevieve would win immunity, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, Sam second, Rachel third. Again, pretty close vote, all things considered here. No one else got any votes. So like if Sue pulls up the win here, then I think we're all gonna have egg on our face. So there's that. Why would she tell? Again, I think it's just further link Sue together because it's like right now it's like because right now it's like Sue doesn't really have anyone like because we saw that they all went on TD the Operation Italy side. So again, I think it just spawns them together. It's like at this point of the season, it's like they're both at the bottom. Rachel's no reason to not tell Sue because like worst case scenario, Rachel just plays the like Sue blabs and then Rachel just plays the idol on herself. So you know. It show how final five play out for Rachel if she has an idol or not. I don't think it matters. I mean, because I think from this point on, Rachel and Sue will work together. Oh yeah, we get the ghost things. But yeah, I think more than I think the most likely outcome is Rachel just wins Final Five immunity if she doesn't have her idol, because she's obviously capable in challenges and stuff. But anyway, we are now getting to the final six immunity here. This should be pretty interesting stuff. Here is a water-based challenge from the overhead shots. Coming in. Bring in the boats. All right. We'll see what happens here. It's looking to be like an obstacle course in the water. All right, we got 26 people watching on stream right now. Pretty exciting stuff here. Anywho, I'm gonna need water before making this call here. All right. Again, it's your standard obstacle course. You know, jump in the water, move a buoy around, and then solve a puzzle. So yeah, I think this definitely this definitely favors like the Rachels and Genevieves of the world, like particularly with that puzzle at the end. Really, it's like any of the top three vote getters from the poll could probably get this, because like I don't think Sue's winning this. I don't think Sue's winning it. I don't think Teeny's likely to win it. I mean, Andy could have a shot depending on how things go, but like Andy's never been that great at challenges, obviously. So I think it's probably just gonna be like one of those three that win this challenge today. Anyway, we also got a reward. Gotta go to the sanctuary where good things happen. All right, time to get going here. All right. All right, here we go. Everyone's starting on top of their platforms, about to hop into the water here. All right, they're getting ready to get started here. And we are off and running. Everyone hopping into the water here, making their initial plunges into the water, heading over to that first platform to navigate their buoys. They got to navigate this buoy through a long obstacle course through the rope that they got there. They got to first navigate like through like this ladder, and then they got to hop into the water and navigate the buoy through the rope in the water here. Sam is the first to get over the ladder into the water. Genevieve's were not far behind. Both of them are in the water at this point. Rachel is third, as expected. The top three are pretty good. Teeny and Andy are not far behind, though. It is a 5-person race. And Sue is also not too far behind. Everyone's in the water at this point. Sam currently has the lead, being the first to reach the contraption in the water portion of it, this next section of it. Sam is currently in the lead here. Genevieve is not far behind, also on the contraption here. Rachel seems to be third. Andy doesn't seem to be far behind Rachel, though. Genevieve has taken the lead, being the first to complete the contraption. She's about to get to the puzzle section here. Sam is in second place. Genevieve's really caught up some ground here. Andy, though, seems to be hanging on into this competition. Genevieve is the first to reach the puzzle portion here. Question is how long this will take. It doesn't seem like a very long challenge. But anyway, we have Rachel being the second to reach the platform here. Everyone seems to be getting to the puzzle portion pretty quickly here, but Genevieve is currently the only person working on the puzzle here. Genevieve is the first to get started with her puzzle. Sam is now untying his puzzle pieces. Genevieve has the early lead here. We have Rachel now in third place here, though Sue doesn't seem to be that far behind. Teeny is the last person to reach the puzzle component here. Now everyone's working on the puzzle here. This is obviously going to come down to how quickly everyone works on the puzzle here. Genevieve has the early lead. Rachel's not far behind. It seems to be a battle between those two right now. We'll have to see how Sam is doing right now. Let's see. So focus on Rachel right now. All the focus is on Rachel and Genevieve at this current moment. Andy is pretty far behind, actually. Not a single piece in there. Andy and Teeny are actually looking at Rachel and Genevieve's pieces, trying to copy off them. Genevieve seems to have the lead still with her pieces, but Rachel is not too far behind. The question is whether Genevieve can maintain momentum or not. Rachel is fighting, though, being in second place here. Genevieve has hit a roadblock, though, but it doesn't seem to slow her down that much. Rachel is shown to be catching up a bit, but Genevieve does seem to have a pretty big advantage at this point. It's going to be hard for Genevieve to lose this challenge unless Rachel really makes a comeback at this point, but everyone else seems to be pretty far behind. Sam has barely gotten any focus up to this point. Genevieve has a pretty big lead at this point. Rachel is slowing down while Genevieve is slowly but surely catching up here. This is not looking good for Rachel at this point. She is really floundering here, missing pieces and having to switch back and forth, losing a lot of time. Sam barely making any progress on the puzzle here. It's really Genevieve really out in front at this point. So obviously it's a question of whether Genevieve will make a mistake or not. Genevieve is getting pretty close to finishing the puzzle, though Rachel is really falling far behind here in a distant second place. Genevieve putting in more pieces. She's not really slowing down at this point. She just has 2 pieces left, so unless a big disaster happens, Genevieve is about to run away with this. All right, here we go. And there you have it. Genevieve has won final 6 immunity. So Genevieve was the top vote getter in this question, meaning 7 people will be getting their votes, getting points for this question here. Let me just see who it was. Skyrus, Val, Toon Raleigh, Blueberry, Jay Lee, Freeze, and Dave will all be getting points here for this final 6 immunity challenge. Very exciting stuff here. But we have a decision to make. We got the reward to consider here. Genevieve has to be picking people. We got 32 people watching. I wasn't even watching the chat while this challenge was happening. All right, so Sam is insisting he not be picked for this reward here. All right, so Sue is her first selection here. All right, Teeny is the other selection here, seeming to be a play to flip Teeny and to placate Sue here, making it pretty apparent that Rachel is like the big target here. To be fair, Rachel already had an idea she was the target, but it's pretty clear Genevieve is attempting to do this to keep an eye out for the outsiders to make sure that Rachel doesn't have the opportunity to flip, if I had to guess. But yeah, interesting stuff here. All right, so we just got a confessional from Rachel about how Rachel and Sue are going to be the real ones in power. Really making it seem like she's going to use both the idol and the block a vote here to get her way. Where are you watching? So I am watching on cable. So I have my cable app here on my phone. This is how I'm watching the episode. Um, I can't share any unofficial sources to watch here. However, Will has kindly provided a link in the Discord server. So if you need a way to watch it, just join the Discord server. Go to Survivor General Discussion, and that should help you. Anyway, we're currently at commercial here. So again, assuming they're dividing this in half here, we're probably gonna have what, like 8 to probably like 8 to 12 minutes for deliberation, like for the whole reward. And oh my god, I'm getting the terrible Coke AI ad right now. That's what everyone needs. But yeah, while we're on break here, yeah, I do think this changes things up. I think at this point Andy is probably the most likely person to go home here. Because obviously the assumption was that was either going to be Genevieve or Andy. There really hasn't been much talk. Sam hasn't really got much focus in this episode. It seems like early on, all the focus is about how this was Andy's move. How the Caroline blindside was, this is Andy's move. Like, to where even the other Operation Italy people were propping up Andy. So yeah, I think they're probably setting up Andy to go home here over Genevieve. Um, but yeah, but I think assuming the way things are going at this point, I mean, this round is just gonna be another knock to Rachel's game here. It just stinks too, cause like I don't like being mean to like winning games and stuff, but man, it's just not easy with Rachel. Like, I mean, yeah, Rachel's just not gonna be very high on the winner ranking at this point. But yeah, if you are just joining us, Genevieve has won final six immunity here. She has elected to take Teeny and Sue on reward, presumably as a way to court them, or at the very least, make sure that Rachel can't communicate with them during their time at camp. And it does seem like Rachel's going to be the main target here, though obviously we know that Rachel is not only aware that she's a target, but she has advantages to get around that. So Rachel's probably not going home in this round. Seems like, based on the way things are going, Andy is probably the most likely person to go home, considering Genevieve has immunity, considering that Sam doesn't seem to be that big of a focus at this point. I feel like with the nature of the move, considering that people are giving Andy all the credit for the move, my suspicion is that Andy is the most likely person to enter Rachel's crosshairs here coming to this round. But obviously, we are still a commercial here, probably about to be getting back. We're getting a promotion for a CBS show right now. Anyway, speaking of the devil, we are now back from commercial here. We are at the sanctuary now where good things happen. With Genevieve, Teeny, and Sue here. Oh yeah, let's see what happens. Is a Rachel versus Genevieve fire making challenge still in the cards? Uh, I personally don't think it's likely, but I mean, I just don't think it's likely because Genevieve and Rachel are the biggest threats at this point. I think the most likely path is I th- I think Rachel gets to this next round using her idols, and I think Rachel might win Final Five immunity. I think it's I think it's likely at this point. Either that or she gets Sue to use her idol on her or something like that. Or at that point, I would assume Genevieve would be Rachel's target here because there's been a lot of setup on the show to like Rachel targeting Genevieve, and it would just be weird for for Rachel to not actually take out Genevieve here. So anyway, we're getting Sue talking about how she's definitely working with Rachel. This is like Australian Survivor British Spawn 2021. I'm guessing you mean with like there being like two big threats still deep in the game. I just don't think Rachel and Genevieve are getting to the end together. I mean, they're actively targeting each other right now, and it's just hard for them to like get toward. The only way they can get the final four together, just the final four, is if like Rachel wins final five. No, if Genevieve wins final five immunity, and then Rachel gets Sue to use her idol on her, and then there even then like final four, you need to have one of them win immunity, and then the other has to win fire making for them to get to the end together. Yeah, that's definitely not ideal. This gen fake idol might lead to her surviving Final Five. Possibly. We'll have to see. She's talking about the Genevieve's idol is a fake. Right now, we're now back at the main camp with Sam, Rachel, and Andy here. What happens if Rachel versus Genevieve in fire making? I think from what we've seen, Rachel would probably win. Because Teeny said earlier in the episode that Rachel's like good at fire making, so I think that's probably what will happen. Rachel just wins fire making. All right, so Sam's telling Rachel that she would win if she got to the end. All right, so Sam's just admitting that he's voting for Rachel here. Okay, so I'm guessing so yeah, so it's definitely Sam or Andy going home at this point. I mean, to be fair, it's like so yeah, they're just turning this into a whole moment, like just really hammering it in that one of them are going home here. These Gatas here. Yeah, I still think it's Andy going home probably. Maybe. Probably. All right. All right. So okay. So Sam is the target now. All right. So Rachel's talking to Andy now. Uh oh. I don't think Andy liked that. Yeah. So Rachel's just telling Andy that he's not gonna win at the end. Rachel, Andy, Sue, Final Three could potentially be happening, folks. I mean, if Sam goes home tonight, then probably. I mean, it seems like. I mean, it's not impossible at this point. Wasn't that like my number what 2 or 3 scenario? I think it was my number 3 scenario on the video. All right, so they're setting up the possibility of Andy flipping here. All right, we're gonna go to commercial again. Interesting setup here. So let's open up our scenarios here. So with Genevieve winning immunity, then none of the Genevieve scenarios can be ruled out here. So let's let me just pull it all up. Uh this will take a minute to like upload. So let's just compare real fast. Rachel, Andy, Sue, and then Rachel, Sam, Sue. I have them both up here. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is Rachel, Andy, Sue. This is the number one ranked scenario on the jury scenarios video. The one that I said would be the most likely to happen. So, like I said, in this scenario, I have Rachel as a clear favorite here, getting every vote except Sierra, and maybe Caroline. Again, it's not Tarla. Again, these are contingent upon Sierra and Caroline voting for Sam and Sue respectively as like sympathy votes. But even those are not guaranteed. This could be like even like a 7-1 or a unanimous vote here. Then moving over to Andy. Oh, no, wrong thing. I pulled up the wrong thing. It was the wrong slide, I should say. Um. Okay, so I have the other one here now. Okay, so this is Andy, Rachel, Sue. This one could literally be unanimous here. Again, the only question mark is what Sue does. Anyway, we are also back from commercial here. We could talk more about these scenarios later on. Anyway, anything in chat? Heard Andy is the Austin esque. I don't know. I mean, he looks like Austin. I don't know if he's played like Austin. I feel like Andy's a bit more game body than Austin. Do you think now Sam or Andy's going? You'd think there'd be more setup for Andy going. You think, but Rachel's not talking like that. Like, I think Rachel sees Sam as the bigger jury threat. And to be fair, like from a pure game standpoint, I think she probably like would be looking at Andy as like this goat, this like power goat. Sick of being underestimated. Yep, that's pretty much been a lot of Andy's Again, it has been. That's pretty much all of Andy's content. Either I'm the mastermind or I'm being underestimated. This might be the easiest win in history of the final three is Rachel Sue and Tini. Again, I think Rachel Sue, whoever's there other than Genevieve, it could probably be a slam dunk for Rachel. All right, so Rachel's now telling Sue, she's telling Andy and Sue that they would be a final three if they vote out Sam. Sam goes to final six, could be a huge blindside. Possibly. Because they don't know about Rachel's idol, right? Yeah, so it was looking like Sam's going home here. Unless it's up being like a really chaotic vote, like the final five and 45. I mean, it seems like we're about to be going right into tribal here. I do think this is probably also going to be like bad for Teeny, like if they're blindsided once again tonight. Which again, like it is funny, like how like Teeny is truly becoming like the Charlie Brown this season. It would be funny to see like my number one scenario get knocked out right away with Sam going out. So now Andy and Rachel are talking again. Okay, so yeah, so Andy is just telling. Okay, so Andy's not going along with the Sam plan. Okay, so yeah, this is really bad. This could cause Rachel to change her mind here. Yeah, he's basically saying, "I'm gonna vote you out, but please vote for me." Yeah, yeah. This is embarrassing. Yeah, he is just cooking too much right now. All right, so all right, here we go. Now we're getting to the tribal now. Probably gonna get. Looks like we're gonna get a commercial break. What's going on? Just joined. Okay, so if you just joined us, Genevieve has won Final Six immunity. Teeny flipped over to Operation Italy, so like Andy, Sam, and Jen. Their target is Rachel, but we all know that doesn't matter because Rachel has her block a vote and an idol. Sue is pretty locked on Rachel's side. And now it's looking like it's either going to be Andy or Sam going home, with the decision being on Rachel and Sue. Most of the scramble has focused on Rachel potentially targeting Sam over Andy, but Andy just made a pretty big blunder by telling Rachel that he's going to vote her out and that he wants her to vote for him on the jury. And now, if Andy goes out, it'll be really funny. Are these all the oh yeah, like this is like terrible gameplay. Like the fact that he's just like voting her out here, and like again, like if I were Andy, it's like again just vote her out, and it's like just keep in mind that you had to like what your perception is. Obviously, it's like and you can kind of claim that Final Trouble doesn't matter much, but it's like again just look at the last couple seasons. I mean, Final Trouble has mattered to like some of these jury members, so it's like I've been looking at the last couple of seasons and thinking, okay, like so like clearly like I had to like explain my game of Final Tribal. Like it's like I need to be thinking right now about how I can counter all these perceptions that I have, right? And one of the arguments would be, okay, I voted out Rachel, I took out this big threat, and now if I am able to take out Genevieve along the way, like sort of play both sides, then I could potentially do that. Then I could turn things around. But yeah, again, pretty bad here. Only person. Yeah, obviously Emily didn't play as bad in this particular round here. Obviously, Emily herself didn't play that poorly. It was more so because someone else's mistake. But yeah, there's some comparisons here, like being idled out potentially. You have being taken out right after being involved in a move where you got the bulk of the credit for it. Yeah, there's some comparisons to be made there. I was hoping Rachel wouldn't have to use her idols. It's her Sue next time. Most likely her. Uh, so I think again, Sue should be pretty lock safe. Like I don't think anyone's targeting Sue at this point. I think Sue will probably just be able to like use her like her idol like at final 5, like unscathed or something like that. I don't like this commercial. They're just in the water with their beanies on. It's so dumb. We just had this commercial. Sue's best move would be to play her idol on Rachel if she needs it at 5. Uh, so assuming they vote out, so like it's like Sue's screwed either way. Like she's not winning, but it's like I don't know if going to the end with Rachel's the best option either. Like it seems like she's just lashing on to Rachel because she's at the bottom. Like they're both at the bottom. They kind of have to be together. I don't know. Like I feel like if I were Sue, it's like I feel like if I could just maneuver around these last couple rounds, I could maybe make a case, even though it's pretty unlikely to work at this point. Sue played her idol in Rachel 5, that would hand Rachel the win. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why she probably shouldn't play her idol in Rachel. Like she, if anything, like she either like should just use her idol on herself, or just like she really wants to just let it go to waste. Like or just completely go for broke, like knowing that you're completely safe at Final 5, and then like you're presumably good at fire, so like you could like use as an out at Final 4. Anyway, we are back from commercial now. We are now getting to Final 5 Tribal Council, where it seems like either Andy or Sam will be voted out here. All right, hold back a sneeze. Anyway, we're walking in the tribal right now. I just have really bad gesture right now. We have 33 people watching right now. Pretty impressive. Showing for all y'all. If you're just joining us, we are currently at Tribal Council here, Final 6. Andy's so smug. Yeah. All right, so now Rachel's blowing up Andy's spot here. Was Sue told to vote Rachel, or is Rachel clueless about Teeny flipping? I don't think she was like because no, I think they just flipped Teeny and then kind of just left Sue to herself, to her own devices. because I think the assumption is like, okay, we burned Sue by voting out Caroline, and it's like, because like Sue's like the type of person that's like super loyal and like is probably unlikely to work with them. So like I think they kind of just left Sue on her own, pretty much. Which admittedly is not good gameplay, obviously, because like you just prime yourself to like you just open up Rachel like to pick Sue up, but at the same time, it's like still it's like why give her any rope? Because like you at that point, like you okay, it's like you need one more person to like cause a tie. So did everyone just tell Rachel that they're voting for her? Like that's just so funny. Like they're just not even hiding it. It's just so funny that they're not even like hiding it. Who I think is going? Probably Andy at this point. Like I think there's definitely enough setup there with what happened right before Tribal. Jurors seems disgusted when you look at their faces. Yeah, like yeah, it kind of seems that way. Again, like that was a whole debate with like making the jury scenarios video. It's like would they respect Andy after this move? And again, I made the video under the assumption that they would not respect it that much, that it just wouldn't be enough. But yeah, the fact that they're just not more impressed is like not ideal. Not ideal for Andy at all. Should we splitting the votes on the Sue? Always have a backup plan. Uh, I think a key problem with that is like, what do you do with Teeny? Like, because I think part of the reason why they wouldn't split is like one they don't think Rachel has an idol, and also I think it's one they assume Rachel doesn't have an idol. Two, they assume that it could at worst use Genevieve as a bluff, and obviously you have Teeny as well. It's like it's like does Teeny truly hold? So it's like you might as well like try to like keep it all together, and then at the worst case scenario, like you get like a 3-3 tie, and then maybe at that point like you really put the pressure on Teeny to like flip on the revote. Okay, it seems like we're about to be getting into the vote here. All right, here we go. All right, final six. Here we go. I think if she wins, Rachel's officially the worst new era winner. Yeah. I think seeing how this round is playing out, I think at this point, I just don't think that there's a way she'll be better than Kenzie at this point. Because even if she wins in a landslide, I feel like her path to the end is like much rockier than Kenzie's. So yeah, I think I probably would agree with that. Right? She used the block a vote on Sam, so Sam is not voting. All right, so really just comes down to what Rachel and Sue decided to do here with this vote. All right, all the votes have been cast. Now Jeff is gonna go off and get them. We currently have 32 people on stream. Welcome. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Time to get up. Rachel stands. All right, she stands up. She plays her idol. Andy's chuckling. Sam looks stone cold. All right. All right. Rachel has played her idol. All votes for Rachel will not count. Time to read the votes here. We're probably going to get three Rachel votes that won't count. Doesn't count. All right, three votes for Rachel, none of them count, meaning Teeny did flip. Right now, who are they voting for? Here we go. Yep, they voted for Andy. We had Caroline saying F yes, which I think is just more evidence of Rachel winning here. And there you have it. Andy is voted out in sixth place here, telling Rachel that she did an amazing job here. I'm so sorry, Ryan. All right, so with the poll question here, Caroline looks thrilled, by the way. That probably means. All right, so let's see. Idol was played. Final six. Yeah, so this really was a disaster for me from a polling standpoint because I was truly under the assumption that Genevieve would go at six and Annie would go at five. But yeah, that's just egg on my face. Anyway, we got Saul now saying we got the jury just eating this up. By the way, Saul said it was good. Kyle says we got a game now. Yeah, so the jury's clearly happy by this. So, which again just reinforces that the jury just sees Rachel as this big threat. Definitely has a good chance of winning here, which is all pretty good. All right, we're going to commercial here. Yeah, I just completely missed the boat on the poll questions. Just got the order completely wrong here. But anyway, no commercial. We are heading immediately back to camp here. All right. So if you're just joining us, 33 people watching, Andy has just been voted out. He is in sixth place here right now at the final five of Genevieve, Rachel, Sam, Sue, and Teeny here. We are now seeing the aftermath of this tribal here. We're getting a lot of content from Rachel about how exciting this is that they pulled off this move, taking out Andy in a successful idol play, 2-0 vote here. So now they're talking about. So everyone's just openly talking about Genevieve's fake idol at this point. Well, they don't know it's fake, but yeah. Yeah, number three scenario is now off the board. My number one scenario can still happen. All right, so they're setting up the Rachel Genevieve battle. We all know this is about to wrap up here. This seems like the start. This really feels like a coronation of Rachel right now. All right, now we're going to commercial. Anyway, we're current commercial here. If you're just joining us here, 32 people watching here. Yeah, if you're just joining us, Genevieve won Final Six Community. Rachel was a target coming into the Final Six round. Rachel successfully played her idol, got Sue on her side, and they voted out Andy in a 2-0 vote. It did seem initially that Sam was going to be Rachel's target. However, Andy made a pretty fatal blunder right before Tribal, where Rachel had entertained with Andy about potentially flipping to vote with them. But not only did Andy not go along with this plan, he outright told Rachel that he was going to vote her out and that he expected her to vote for him in a jury vote, that he was trying to do jury management with Rachel at the final six right before it seemed like he was going to vote her out, but it didn't pan out that way, obviously. But yeah, ultimate case of don't count your eggs before they hatch. Um, oh my god, I'm using so much memory right now. Andy's ego is unmatched, kind of moderately. But like I said, the number one scenario is still on the board. It did seem for a bit that it was on edge here, where Sam could have been taken out, but instead it is back alive and probably more likely than ever at this point, because we are now getting set up to Genevieve and Rachel going at it Final Five, where Rachel is expected to win that battle. Then Final Four, again, there is some setup to Teeny losing fire making. They were the one to mention that Rachel is better at fire making compared to everyone else. And with the way the game's playing out, I would expect Rachel to win Final Five immunity, get to Final Four that way, and probably maybe have to go in the fire Final Four. But again, there's a setup there to secure her spot at the end. Right. Also, we have several new people in the Discord server here. Welcome H. Welcome Epiphany. Welcome Eric. Just now seeing y'all here. Anyway, we're now back from commercial here. We're probably going to get a brief scene before getting to the final five immunity here. Looks like Rachel is back at it. She's going to try idol hunting here in this very last day. It seems like Sam is going right through Rachel's bag here, which is slightly unfortunate. Uh, Andy made a blunder like Emily or Nina vote in the past year. Comes down to either Sam or Jen at Final Five. If Rachel wins immunity, then Sam would be an idiot and expose her fake title. Obviously, like, yeah, he might do that. There, Andy's downfall is worse than Malcolm's on Philippines. It's definitely up there. Yeah, like that was a really dumb move. Sue wins immunity. I feel like she would save it. With one more vote from the jury. Well, I don't think it really matters though, because the only vote Sue could ever possibly get is Caroline's, and even then, it'd probably be a sympathy vote. And honestly, with that reaction, I think at this point, Caroline votes for Rachel in a jury vote. I think they're seeing that reaction to Rachel voting out Andy. So I think I don't think it matters. I think Sue's probably a zero vote finalist. How many jury scenarios won at number one on Survivor, Big Brother in the past? It's definitely happened. Like I definitely have like an okay track record. Like I don't have like a like I don't think there have been that many seasons where like I completely whiffed. Obviously, like Big Brother is like a bit more likely to have like wonky things happen, but I don't know the answers off the top of my head. Rachel voting Andy was a blunder. I think she was already a bigger target than Sam. No, 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 no. I mean, Andy made a blunder. Like, I think when Rachel, like, I don't think for Rachel it matters that much. And if anything, it's like it's probably slightly more beneficial considering Andy got all the credit for the Caroline blindside. So I think Rachel, like, I feel like no matter what, Rachel had to like play the idol and like take out someone from that side. It was really just a matter of which one. And I think one, Andy like making it clear that he was gonna vote her out, and then also Andy like so clearly like being like the figurehead of that move, like just like makes it make some sense here. So anyway, we now have Genevieve throwing Sam under the bus here to Rachel. If Rachel wins, is she worse than Ben Rebergen? I don't think she's worse than Ben because Ben because the thing with Ben is that he needed something that had never happened before in Survivor to get to the end. That being the forced fire making challenge. He needed something that never happened before and something he had no clue was happening on top of the three idols back to back to back. So I don't think Rachel's that bad, but I mean she's not that much better either. Because it's like I feel like with Rachel, it's like the word because like the main like knocks you can give her, it's like okay, so like she doesn't have much agency throughout a lot of the game. There are other winners. There are other winners that have that. Uh, she needed to win out at points. Other winners needed that. Like I feel like her flaw is like while they're bad, I feel like they're not like to the point where it's like she's like at the very very bottom because like she's a step above Ben. I mean she's a step above like Fabio and like Bob in the sense that she wasn't completely clueless in the game. Like she's at least like a more aware strategic thinker than them. Um she's better than like Mike or Ben in the sense that she didn't need to like win out completely and also didn't need like completely game breaking things to happen to survive. And then same thing with like a Chris Underwood or even a Michelle like who needed something way outside her control to get to the end. I feel like Rachel doesn't like get to that low. Or even the split tribal, it's like it's like yes, it's obviously like very unlucky that she like got that split. I mean, let me rephrase that. There's obviously the split tribal. Yes, she does blatantly get saved by a twist. That being the city without power. Like again, like she didn't know that was coming. But that was also something that was like she also got unlucky at the same time, where it's like she gets lucky by there being that power that the other side could use to save her in a position where she was quite blatantly the outsider. That's obviously like luck, but she was also unlucky to be in that position to begin with. So I feel like that kind of evens out and is not as bad as like other winners that like really got saved by like really bad stuff. So yeah, I think that's my take on it. Again, she's a step above like again, she's not like the worst of the worst, but like she's still like bottom tier. Like I think at this point she's probably worse than Kenzie. I think again, even if she wins in like a massive jury vote, I still think that won't be enough to overcome like Kenzie, because like I feel like Kenzie was at least more the majority throughout the game than Rachel ever was. So I think that's a thing to consider there. Watching here from the Philippines. Glad you could join us, Jose. Sam is out and Jen loses fire. I think Rachel could pull off an 8-0. Yeah, I think. Yeah, because in that scenario, it would be what? Rachel, Teeny, Sue. I again, I think just seeing the jury's reaction at this point, it might be 8-0. Like ignoring like what I said in the other scenarios, I think it's very possible Rachel wins like 8-0. Maybe like one person like throws like a sympathy vote, but like I think Rachel just demolishes anyone at this point. Even Genevieve, like I could see her like winning against quite handily. Looks like Chrissy versus Kim, the past players. They're ready for war. Uh-huh. I feel like Sam will. Yep. Yeah. 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 Oh yeah, like Rachel's better than Christy from Australian Survivor. So it's like, because what do I have my winner rankings? Let me just open up my winner ranking here. So I made my winner ranking like a year ago. So Kenzie was not on it. So let me see. So you have Chris Underwood, Bob, Fabio, Michelle, Ben, Jenna. Uh, is she like where Jenna Maraska is? I think like Jenna Maraska, like Sandra. Um, I think she's below. She's below Amber. Yeah, I think she's like hovering in that tier of like Jenna, Sandra, both Sandras, and Vesepia. Uh, okay, if I had to pick one, she might be between like the Sandras, or maybe like just above the Sandra's games. Anyway, we're back from commercial. We're getting to the final five. Come on in. I always like to say that. Anyway, we're at final five immunity here. Should be a pretty interesting contest here. And there's the community again. I've had this feeling since the Tiana boot where Teeny had the confessional about all women and they showed a flashback to the Black Widow Brigade that the show was setting up an all-female final three. Well, it's weird because like they haven't really worked together that much. I mean, to be fair, like I think this could be like Rachel like finding her community at last, or Teeny finding their community at last. So that's possible, but again, we'll see what happens. Anyway, seems like we're getting another obstacle course here. This is one starting in the water, but then working your way up to the beach. Gotta dig through some sand. Gotta balance on a balance beat. Okay. Okay, so it's the ball stacking challenge. Yes, definitely feels like something Rachel could win. Welcome, high koala bear. Anyway, we are now getting into the final five challenge here. Let's get into the action here. All players starting in the water. We are off to the races here. These players are all racing out of the water And we are off and going. Teeny and Sam seem to have the early lead of just outrunning everyone to the barge here. Everyone's going to have to dig through some sand to get under the bar. We've seen this obstacle plenty of times in Survivor here. Rachel, Teeny, they seem to be making some inroads here, but it's actually Sue who's going to be the first to squeeze her way through. Not really having to dig much, but Sam and Teeny are not far behind. Rachel is also in it. Everyone seems to be in this so far. Actually, Genevieve isn't dead last year, but she is making her way here. Sam was the first to be shown with the balls, but he immediately drops. We have Rachel and Sue getting some early action on the balls here. Seems to be a really tough challenge here, having to stack the balls. It's the ball stacking challenge where you have to hold the bar here, but you have to do it while also staying on this really wobbly balance beam here. But Sue has the early lead with 2 balls in place here, but Rachel's not far behind here. We have Genevieve now starting to place her first ball into place. Not much difficulty there. Rachel's now being shown carrying her next ball into plays. Sue is quite silently working her way through, but Sue's stack seems already pretty slanted here, so it seems likely to fall. But Sam's actually makes the progress here with 2 balls here, but Sue immediately loses her stack. She is now down to 1 ball, has to start all over again. Sam also drops a ball here. Okay, so Genevieve now has 3 balls on here. Rachel is pretty steady, though. Seems like they're speedrunning these challenges, though. These challenges all feel pretty brief, with very brief obstacles, rather followed by a pretty straightforward challenge here. Rachel drops, has to start over here. Teeny drops, also has to start over. Sam is now shown, struggling again. Anyway, not much is happening so far. Everyone's just moving along here. A lot of focus on Rachel so far. Anyway, we have a time lapse here. Just not really much to really gauge here, so it's hard to really say what progress people are making. We have Sue dropping once again. Teeny drops once again. Sam also drops again. Genevieve and Rachel seem to be like the front runners in this competition so far. Genevieve currently has 4 balls here. Not entirely stable structure, but she is making it work. Rachel is not far behind, however. I feel like Genevieve is pretty primed to fall at some point. Rachel seems a bit more sturdy. Rachel even seems to be checking her ball here. Genevieve is now stacking her 5th ball into place. Rachel is also moving up with her 5th ball. All right, Rachel is a little ahead right now. She already has her 5th ball in place. Genevieve is currently trying to get her 5th ball into place. Rachel successfully gets her 6th ball, but she drops. Rachel has to start all over again, meaning Genevieve now has a steady lead, but Genevieve drops. Sam drops again, and we are back now to a pretty even playing field. All right, probably gonna need another time lapse here. Anyway, another time lapse here. More dropping, more balls everywhere. Just balls, 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 more balls. Anyway, Genevieve seems to have a pretty sizable, actually not that big of a lead now. 4 balls here. Rachel has 5 balls up here. Rachel's retaking the lead here. All right, Rachel's down to her last ball here. Genevieve is a little behind. She's gonna have to do some catching up if she wants any shot of winning immunity here. Rachel has her last ball here. The question is whether she can hold on or not. All right, Genevieve has her 5th ball in place. She needs to get her last stand, though, before she can get her ball here. All the pressure's on Rachel right now to get that last ball in place. All right, Genevieve now has her 6th stand. Trying to get that into position right here. Rachel is positioning her ball into place here. Up. The ball rolls. It's dancing around. Can't settle down here. She's planting it into place here. Genevieve just now gets her stand into place. Rachel is trying to steady her stack, but is kind of struggling. She needs to get the prongs off to let the tower settle. It's wobbling a bit. Can she pull away? It's a bit precarious. Uh-oh. And Genevieve. Out of nowhere, Genevieve's stack falls. Meaning Rachel is far and away in the lead. This is her challenge to lose. She can take her time now to move the ball back. The ball tower does wobble, but she does step back. And with that, Rachel has won Final 5 immunity and is guaranteed at least fire making. Yes, this is a 2-part finale. So we're gonna get the rest of it next week. Anyway, we have a whole bunch of stuff to get to here. Susha bluffed Tini that she's playing her idol on Rachel, but Tini won't most likely believe it, but she'll try to play on a big move. Again, I just don't think it matters. I think Genevieve's going home at this point. Because, like, with Rachel at the table, it's like Genevieve's clearly the next biggest threat. And it's like, I don't think anyone's looking at Sue at this point. Is it 4-1? It could be 4-1. Because, like, we're even seeing, because the fact that we're already seeing Genevieve throwing Sam under the bus, I just can't really, I just don't see a reason why Sam wouldn't throw Jen under the bus. Because I can't imagine Sam would vote out Sue over Genevieve here, when it's like pretty obvious like what the options are. So, again, I think probably Genevieve just goes home here. We have 36 people watching here. If you're just joining us, Rachel has won Final 5 immunity here, and it's looking like Genevieve is the clear option to go home here at Final 5. Now, obviously, we'll have to see what the scramble is. We'll have to see what people are thinking here. But I am expecting Genevieve to be the boot here. She has been talked about as the biggest threat. I feel like her position has been one where it would make sense for her to go out Final 5 here, not even giving her the chance to make fire. Everyone is voting Sam. Thank you for showing. Yeah. But we are currently at commercial here, so we can like just chat in the meantime. They're making a mistake. Sam wins fire 100% against anyone but Rachel, like 65%. Well, I think at this point, like well, I think at this point, it's like obviously, like fire making is like one consideration, but it's like, do we even know if Sam's like that good at fire making? Like, I think that's like a real question. Because like I would assume that like if like there's not like that big of a difference in fire making ability, that you just go out to the biggest like jury threat. I feel like if someone but Rachel does not win immunity, I think had to throw themselves into fire against Rachel to have a shot. I mean, realistically, yes. Again, if it's like if the final four is like Rachel, Sam, Sue, Tini, right? I'm just wondering like who does throw themselves into fire, right? So let's see. So I think Sam might. I could see a world where Sam throws himself into fire to take out Rachel. Does Teeny throw themselves into fire? Like, because I think Teeny would want Sam out at 4, like to like ensure like an all woman final 3, right? Or at least to ensure no man gets to final 3. Well, Sam doesn't throw himself into fire. Again, it's not likely. Like, I could definitely see a world where Sam tries to just hope that Rachel like loses fire. But I'm just saying, if there's one person who I would put money on to throw himself in the fire, it might be Sam. Like, again, that's if we were to pick one person, it probably would be Sam because I don't think Sue does it. I don't think Sue does it, and I don't think Teeny does it either. Uh, Next week's episode will be trash. Final 4, which will be Sam winning final immunity takes Sue. Yeah, that's the whole problem with like this format because it's like again because the Final Four is like not that interesting of a round because it's like there's no vote. Like it's real literally you're literally just waiting for the competitions to happen. You're waiting to see who wins immunity. You get a little insight into like what their thought process is, and it's just a done deal. Like you're literally just waiting for the competitions to play out, and then it's like Final Tribal. It's like okay, Final Tribal is obviously good, but at that point, like you usually have a good idea of who's winning, and then like there's like a lot of filler too. It's like you have like you have like I feel like there's like not much in the middle. So I do agree this is like not a great format at the end of the day, but this is technically the finale, so that's why we're here. It's Sam or Jen goes, then Sam or Jen versus Teeny and Fire, and then Teeny loses. Predictable. Yeah, I can see it. All right, so now we're getting some setup to Sam blowing up Genevieve's spot. At least you would think it would. All right, so Sam dropped the bomb on Teeny. All right, the bomb's been dropped. Teeny's game is atrocious. Maybe atrocious is a bit of a strong word, but I'd say not good, not ideal, not a game I would dream myself of playing. But yeah, I do. I would agree with your sentiment, though. I would agree with your sentiment. Yep, I would agree. Yeah, they're probably just gonna spend more time. Like, it's probably gonna be like 1 hour on like. It's probably gonna be like 1 hour on like the final 4 round, and then like 1 hour for like the. Well, actually, it's like it'll probably take like an hour and a half to like do like the final 4 and like final tribal and stuff, and then it'll probably like, take like 30 minutes. I think it's might be a little concise with like the because like assuming you do like 30 minutes for the after show, that means you get like what like 45 minutes to do the final 4 round, and then 45 minutes to do like the end of the game. Anyway, we're getting flashbacks now to Teeny being mad at Genevieve. Remember that was a rivalry earlier in the season. Who Who's been voted out? So Andy was voted out final six. All right, so they're just doing all these flashbacks. Teeny vote. Seems like Teeny's getting on board, voting out Jen. All right, so there's just more content about Teeny just being on the outs over and over and over. Like they're really just beating you over the head with like, we get it. Teeny's game sucks. Has second boot happened? No, not yet. We are currently so the final five immunity just happened. Rachel won immunity. We're currently on the scramble here, and we're getting lots of setup to Genevieve being voted out, but it has not happened yet. All right, so now Teeny's telling Sue that the idol is fake, and Rachel as well. Teeny succeeded Andy as a flip flopper. I mean, Teeny was they were technically flip flopper last round. I mean, because they were voting with Rachel at the final seven, then they flipped to Operation Italy at the final six. Now they're flipping again. It just so happens they're on the wrong side every vote. All right, so it seems like Rachel and Sue don't believe Teeny here, which is obviously pretty bad. All right, so now Teeny is talking to Genevieve. Okay, so Genevieve now pretty much owned up that the idol's fake. So like Teeny like approached Genevieve like about it's like he was like, is the idol fake? And Genevieve's like, yep. Genevieve just like folded like a she folded like a folding table pretty much. Yeah, that's funny. All right, so same thing is happening. All right, so now Teeny's going back to Rachel and Sue and be like, "Hey guys, remember when you didn't believe me? It turns out I was right, and you guys are stupid." The thing is, like for Rachel and Sue, like it literally doesn't matter if the idol's fake or not, because like Rachel's safe. Sue's probably just gonna play her idol, like because like she's a very straightforward player. It's like the only person that has anything to lose from like any of this Genevieve idol stuff is Teeny, or maybe Sam, but like Teeny's like the only person like I mean it's like I don't entirely fault like Rachel and Sue for like not initially believing Teeny here. Cause like Teeny's like the only person that has anything to lose from like this whole Genevieve idol business. Cause like for Rachel and Sue, like Genevieve having an idol literally doesn't matter. Cause it's like cause even if you cause like if Genevieve does have an idol and you pack the votes onto Genevieve, Genevieve just plays her idol, it's like, oh well that sucks. Just gotta take her off on four. Yeah, it's not great. Like again, just once again showing like showcasing Teeny's game as a whole. Yeah, I feel like at this point I have a good sense of what the player ranking is going to look like. So I'm probably going to start recording it like again in the week leading into the finale or the proper finale. But anyway, we're at commercial now. When we get back from commercial, we'll get to the vote out here. Like we have plenty of time for the vote to happen. Like, and it doesn't seem like we're gonna. It there's no indication that we're gonna have like a cliffhanger or anything. So probably just gonna get like a standard vote out, and that'll be the end of it. We have 46 people watching right now. If you're just joining us, we're getting towards the end of the program here. We're heading ourselves into the final five tribal here. But if you missed what happened earlier, at the final six, Genevieve won immunity. Rachel was a target, but Rachel played her idol. Had Sue on her side. Teeny flipped to Andy, Sam, and Genevieve. So it was a 4-1. It was actually a 3-2 vote on paper, as Rachel used her block vote on Sam. Rachel plays her idol, and then through that, Andy gets idol out of the game. Andy became the target after a big blunder he made, where he told Rachel, hey, he was voting her out, and that he wanted to have her jury vote at the end. Against a pretty sloppy play there. And then file five, Rachel's target. Rachel wins immunity. And now it looks like Genevieve is probably getting voted out, but obviously we'll have to see what happens here. Or really, the main sticking point is whether Rachel and Sue believe that Genevieve's idol is fake. That's gonna be the big problem here. Anyway, let's see what the stream say here. When our own alliance members don't trust the idol is fake, are they our alliance members? Turns out TD was the Andy all along. Perhaps. She's got a big mouth, never keeps a secret. Most reliable player in this season, including Andy, at least with information. I mean, I don't fault TD for like coming to Genevieve with the information, because like really at this point, like what's the worst that can happen? Because at least with Andy, like the choice between him and like another alliance member. So like again, like you can claim that to be a blunder, but it's like why would it, but it's like in this situation, it's like Rachel and Sue have no reason to vote out Dini. Because even if they think the idol is real, they'll just vote for Sam. Anyway, 1 hour and 56 minutes. For Rachel Bayham's game coming up this Friday on. Oh wow! Oh, is that Thaniel's video? That's pretty cool. Sam wins. Take Sue Teeny versus Rachel. Rachel probably wins that fire making challenge. And we're still commercial, but we should be getting back relatively shortly here. Okay, finally back from commercial here, where we'll finally begin a moderately interesting tribal here. Should be a straightforward vote, but again, some mild intrigue depending on the idol stuff here. About 15 minutes left here to get this all done. All right. I don't think it's gonna be 14 minutes. Probably like it'll probably just be like a no, I think it's gonna be a very straightforward vote. I mean, it's probably gonna be like 5 minutes of deliberation. Get the vote. Vote out Genevieve. Maybe like a hearty farewell, and then I think it'll probably end like at like 55, like 9:55 or 9:56. Who got out? Andy was voted out final six. We're currently at the final five tribal. No, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, the episode's still on. We're currently at the final five tribal. Maybe. Is there any way Rachel doesn't win Survivor? Well, she could lose fire making. That's all I got, really. Look what happened in 43 or AU 2030 final three unpredictable. Final tribal. Uh, I don't know if AU's was unpredictable. Like I feel like I was pretty confident in the Liz win by the time of final tribal. Yeah, 43 a bit more so. Right? Maybe. Uh, Although I still feel like it's predictable, I'm most wondering why in Final Six we're to play both the idol and steal of it. Uh, I mean, with the steal with it's not it's a block of vote. I mean, with the block of vote was the last time she could use it. Like Final Six was the last time she could use it, so she might as well use it. Like just like make things easier. And then the idol, it's like she knew it was the target, so I don't blame her for using the block of vote there and the idol. Rome, Kyle, TK, Annie, and soon to be Genevieve's vote outs were all so predictable. But anyway, it's time to vote. Yep, we're getting right to the vote here. Seems like it's just going to be a 4-1 vote for Genevieve, if I had to guess. All right. Genevieve's voting for Sam here. Makes sense. All right. Really a lot of focus on Teeny here for some reason. All right. So it seems like Teeny's like taking her time here with this decision. Not sure why. It seems like it should be a pretty cut and dry decision, but I guess we'll see. All right, let's get right to it. Should be interesting. Jeff is currently collecting the votes here. I'm guessing Zeal will probably just play her idol on herself, just because. Right, so Genevieve just admitted her idol is fake. Sue, oh, all right. So Sue is playing her idol here, just just because. All right, so she's playing on herself. Makes sense. All right. Dre's just kind of confused. All right. Just kind of a nothing burger. All right. First vote, Genevieve. Sam, 1 vote Genevieve, 1 vote Sam. Up, Sam, 2 votes Sam. All right, Genevieve, 2 votes Sam, 2 votes Genevieve. So I'm guessing what, Teeny voted for Sam? Is that where we're at? Yep, there we go. Genevieve, the penultimate juror of the season. Wow, so Teeny somehow found a way to once again be on the outs here, which is funny. We have 47 people watching if you're just joining us. Genevieve has been voted out in 5th place in a 3-2 vote. It seems like Teeny voted for Sam here. It seems like Teeny got spooked that the idol might have been real. So that's something. But yeah, I mean, we'll see like the vote count once we get back from like commercial and stuff. But yeah, it is funny how Teeny like. Yeah, it is funny how Teeny was on the outs here when they were like the most on to Genevieve about the idol being fake. That's funny. Also, they just completely abandoned the whole like live on a new beach thing. They just kind of they pretty silently got rid of that feature, which is funny. Yeah, that was the episode. We'll probably stick around to see what the coming attractions are. Who got out? Genevieve was voted out in 5th place here. Voted out in a 3-2 vote. where Sam got the other 2 votes from Genevieve and Teeny. It seems like we'll see confirmation after the coming attractions, but the indication is that Teeny was the other vote for Sam here that made it a 3-2 vote. Genevieve is a great player. Sad she and Andy are gone now. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it was pretty much what I expected coming into the finale, or at least this episode. At least the order, I got the order wrong. I thought for sure that I was pretty certain that Genevieve was gonna be gone in final 6, and then Andy was probably gone in final 5. Teeny is so bad this game. Yeah, it's not looking great. It's not looking great for Teeny when it comes to the player ranking. Annie and Teeny worst ever? Maybe not ever, but it's not great. No. Fire making's next week. So it's a 2-part finale where this episode just finished. It's final 6, final 5, and then next week it's gonna be final 4 and then final 3. Who did Annie vote? Annie's gone. Annie was voted out. Final 6. So there's that. Teeny is worse than Katura. I would agree. I would say I could have told you that before this up. I feel like Katura played a much better game than Teeny did. Again, not saying Katura is great, but like, I think compared to Teeny, I think Katura is a step above them. For Rachel the check, pretty much. Who's left? So final 4, it is Rachel, Sam, Sue, and Teeny in the final 4. Next episode. So next episode is the proper finale. We'll probably get a sneak peek at 48. Teeny is the worst player this season. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, there's a lot of pre-mergers I would say are worse than Teeny. In the future, they'll do a final 3. I don't think they're ever bringing back a final 2. I think final 3 is always going to be the end from now on. What will final immunity be? I don't know. Probably just some like puzzle or something. If I had to get, either probably some puzzle. If I had to guess. Anyway, we're now getting the coming attraction for the finale here. Okay, so it's an obstacle course. Okay, so final immunity will be an obstacle course. We saw them going through some mud. Okay. We're going to see the votes here. Yep, we have confirmation that Teeny voted for Sam here, which is dumb. All right, so that is the episode here. All right, pretty interesting stuff, all things considered. Let me just turn this off. But yeah, I mean, again, mostly straightforward episode. I feel like, again, aside from the order of the boots, I feel like it's pretty much what I would have predicted coming into the episode. But that's Survivor sometimes. Let's see what we have here. Justice for Asia and Keyshawn. These actually seem interesting. Asia, I still think it's a travesty that Asia was as early as a boot as she was. I was obviously disappointed. There it goes so early. Would you surprise for 14 episodes? I was surprised. I was a little surprised that was an extra episode. Even when Jen got out, Teeny wasn't even responsible. Yeah, I think that's another massive knock to Teeny's edit here. To be fair, Rachel got. I think by the end, Rachel was getting more credit for eventually taking out Genevieve here. But yeah, it is bizarre though that we got that massive flashback to all the times that Genevieve burned Teeny, and then Teeny doesn't even vote out Genevieve, which is funny. First was Hannah taking along in the voting booth, then Carolyn, now Teeny. Who's next? I don't know who's next. I thought you were gonna mention Aubrey, but Asia deserved better. But I don't think Keyshawn would have made it much further. Yeah, I think Keyshawn was just cooking too much. I think he just overcooked. So yeah, I'm not too surprised he got. I think with the information we have now, I think it's pretty apparent he was gonna flame out soon. Boot ranking: Andy, Carolyn, Genevieve, Gabe, Sierra, Kyle, Saul. It's not a bad list. Not a bad list. Actually, I think you could debate Caroline and Genevieve. Yeah, I need to think about it a little more. Why team was acting like their vote was important. Rachel and Sue were always working together and changed from 4-1 to 3-2. Again, I think they were just trying to like make something happen. Yahoo Lifestyle Australian. Okay. Oh, interesting. Is that a confirmation or is that like because I know there were rumors that the Australia versus the world was coming first. Is that now confirmed? Did we like get like recent confirmation of that? I hope no one watches the finale. Worst winner in recent history. Again, I'll be around next week to stream it. Season sucked. Rachel sucks. Without the Survivor auction, the season would have been unwatchable. I don't know if I go that far, but yeah. I like the season a lot, but it is just such a boring finale knowing Rachel's going to win. Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling hopeful for the finale. I feel like it's going to be very straightforward. I do think this part played out a bit better than I expected. I was a little worried. It did play out slightly differently from what I expected. I feel like there's some things you could sink your teeth into, but I'm just not feeling hopeful for next week. I feel like it is going to be a bit more of a slog, but we'll see. Drew rank every double triple eviction. Uh, it's not on the top of my priority list. Again, I may consider it in the future, but again in general, like Big Brother videos are not my priority. Like I generally like focus more on Survivor videos. But again, it could be a fun idea. Jen destroyed her game. Compare DTO. Compared to Caroline, who got unlucky. I think with Caroline, I think you could debate whether she vote. I think her flipping on Gabe is a bit questionable, like or at least flipping on Gabe as early as she did. I think you can definitely qualm with that aspect to it. But I think at the same time you have Genevieve like with the whole Saul move, which is like again just completely unnecessary. And I feel like that put her in a worse position afterwards. Just completely elevated her threat level when she didn't need to. Rachel is many name in reality show history. Isn't the obvious play for Dini to vote for Sam when the worst case scenario is 2-2-1? At the end of the day, I don't think it matters that much. Again, because like I guess like thinking it through, like, are we assuming that Teeny assumed the idol is real? Because if that's the case, then it's like, okay, so let's say Teeny thought the idol was real, which it does seem like was the case. So they throw their vote into Sam, and they think that Genevieve's gonna put the play the idol on herself, and then vote out Teeny because it's like, okay, so Genevieve was making like pretty clear that she was gonna target Sam, right? So if Genevieve was like going around like acting like the idol was real, then it's like, okay, if the idol is real, then like worst case scenario is that Sam just goes home, right? Like I'm like 2-2-1, like you mean like what? Like two votes on Jen, two votes on Sam, one vote on Teeny. Again, I think if we are thinking about Teeny's perspective here, I think if I were Teeny, the absolute worst case scenario is that Genevieve just plays an idol and then Sam goes home. Which, if that's the case, then them voting for Sam doesn't matter. But I think at the end of the day, like however they voted didn't really matter that much. But it's still funny that Teeny voted for Sam after making such a big deal about uh a big deal about Genevieve and stuff. I think if any, I think from a position standpoint, Teeny voting out Sam doesn't really matter that much, like because it seemed like they were pretty safe anyway. I do think it does harm their perception a bit because it's like I think it paints them as a bit scared. The fact that they didn't vote out Genevieve when it was so obvious that Genevieve was the bigger threat that was on the board by that point. So I think through that, like it is like suboptimal to vote for Sam because again, like if it doesn't matter and you know that Genevieve is targeting Sam, then you might as well just vote for Genevieve because it's like even if Genevieve plays her idol, then Sam just goes home. And it's like, okay, that sucks. You have to deal with Genevieve at the final four, but it's like, what did you think they were going to target you over Sam? So like, I think that's the issue. I think that's more so the issue than anything else. I think if they didn't give Rachel the idol for free and Rachel went out in Final Six without an idol, this end game would have been interesting. With Genevieve, Annie, and Sam in Final Five. I don't know. I think Andy probably would have tried to flip on Genevieve sooner, probably. Which to be fair, that could have been interesting. I do agree that it probably does lead to a more interesting end game without Rachel there, but that's just how things are. Uh, Again, not I don't think they really rig it for anyone. Like I think it's just again just not a fortunate outcome. Rachel's now at 78 confessionals this season. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, update confessional card. Again, I think I saw like Gargan's confessional count. So apparently, like Andy only got 4 confessionals this episode, which I'm a little surprised by. Andy, yeah, Andy only got 4 confessionals. Rachel got well, she had 14 as of. She had 14 as of what was that part 1? Like going to tribal? Yeah, Rachel got a ton of confessionals this episode, which is crazy. I, which again, like this just feels like a coronation for Rachel at this point. Rachel 78, Sam 83, Teeny 64, Sue 50, Genevieve 62, Andy 70. Interesting. Um, is Teeny playing a worse game than Sam and Sue? I think they are at this point. Like, because I think at this point, I would definitely have Sam above Teeny on the player ranking. And honestly, like, I think there's a strong debate for Sue being above Teeny as well. Because it's like, yeah, Sue's game is like not great, like because Sue's been like really passive for a lot of the game. She's been like behind like Gabe a lot of the time, beyond Caroline. You have her not voting out Gabe when the rest of the tribe was. You have her being blindsided at the Caroline vote. Again, there's like not great stuff there. I feel like there's not really a move you can give Sue. But at least Sue was in the majority for more of the game than Teeny was, both in the pre-merge and in the post-merge. So actually, I think I might actually have Sue above Teeny at this point because like I think this the I was already like kind of pretty low on Teeny's game, especially for their placement. But I think this episode played out probably the worst possible way for Teeny here. Like outside of them being directly targeted, where it's like the fact that they managed to be on the outs of both of these votes is really funny. The fact that they were blindsided at the final 7, flip at the final 6, only to be blindsided again. And then they try to flip again, kind of. And then they do all this like hemming and hawing about Genevieve's idol, and then they don't even vote out Genevieve. When it didn't even matter, like, whether Genevieve's idol was real or not. Like, it seemed like at best, like, all they were trying to do was convince Rachel and Sue to vote for Genevieve. So yeah, I am I am like probably like pretty low on TD at this point. Since there will be one round, a lot of filler time. There's a chance. 22 episodes. There's a chance Rachel reaches 100. Actually, I don't know. I think it'll be hard, especially like with all the time for the after show and the because you have to consider it's like, okay, you have the immunity challenge, you have the tribal council, you have fire making, you have like the jury speaks segment, you have final tribal, and you have the after show. I could see Rachel getting up to like I could see Rachel getting like over 90 confessionals by the end. I think 100 will be tough though. Rachel's second female confessional, not near. Then Haley confessional, 126 in terms of winner. Well, it's also Australian Survivor, so it's like Australian Survivor is gonna have like very inflated confessional counts, at least for like the top getters. Yep, got a complex tribe anyway, folks. So Rachel won the season, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Um, yeah, so I'm probably gonna sign off soon. I wasn't sure if anyone had any other like questions or things they wanted to talk about. So the plan is to be back here again next week. I'm gonna be streaming again during part 2. Obviously, we'll have the winner reveal. We'll have all the like end game stuff. There'll be stuff to talk about for sure. I mean, I'm not hopeful this episode will be as interesting, or next week's episode will be as interesting because of just how straightforward the end game is. But again, there'll still be stuff to talk about. We'll be here next week and stuff. They have to show a lot of confessionals for social winners to show why they win, but at the same time, it makes the winning stream obvious, like Kenzie from Alessi. I don't know if Rachel's a social winner though. I think they are trying to lean into her being like a strategic player, with her like using advantages and stuff. So I don't think it's a social necessarily her playing a social game per se. I think like the perception with Rachel is that she's like very intelligent, and she's like someone who's like really good at like I think it's like, one, she's good at challenges. Two, like she's like coming off as like intelligent, which in turn translates into her coming off as like strategic. I don't think she's like I don't think she's like that big of a social butterfly. Where actually that was like one of the issues in the pre-merge, where it's like one of the reasons why she was on the outs was because like she was too close to Annika, to where that made Sierra not feel that great about her. Top 10 pre-merge trial council. Yeah, that's a good idea. I might consider that one. How can I watch it live in the net? I don't have any sources at the moment, or at least not any sources there. Teeny last in the power ranking. Yeah, so I'll probably do like a power ranking. Yeah. Again, we'll see what happens there. I still think I might have Sue at the very bottom just because of how blatant of a goat she is. But yeah, like I think there's gonna be a lot to criticize with Teeny. Do the players who win second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, do they yeah. So there is a pay scale. Like everyone does get a stipend, with like the stipend getting bigger. So second place, so on Survivor at least, second place gets $100,000. Third place gets 75, I believe. And if I believe a second and third place tie, then they each get 8750. Or is it like 80? Yeah, it's 8750, 87,500. if they tie for second. And then I forget what the pay scale is from there, but like it does go down. But like yeah, like even like the pre-mergers, like even like the first boot like gets like a stipend. Like I believe the minimum stipend for the first boot is like $1,000. And then like in the days when they had like a live reunion, like they would also get like $10,000 on top of that for an appearance fee for the reunion. Obviously they don't do that anymore because they don't have a live reunion. But yeah, don't worry. They're not starving out there for nothing. Spotify originally outs. Zero side. Yeah. 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 But yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably gonna sign off now. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. It was a pretty fun streaming and getting to watch this all with you. I'll be back again next week to stream once again. Obviously, a lot of stuff coming with the end game here. Probably gonna make one more power ranking. I mean, I wasn't really taking notes in this episode the way that I normally do, but I feel like it's pretty cut and dry what's gonna happen. And plus, it's only 4 people to talk about, so I don't think much changes there. Then after the season ends, again player ranking review. Then we'll have some videos in the off season. With it there not being much shows going on here, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like subscribe, join Discord server, again, all that fun stuff if you want to support the channel. But yeah, I mean, thank you all, and I'll see you all again next week. See ya.